Vuestra presencia en este meeting y mi presencia en esta tribuna debe mostrar claramente a esos cabrones de la burguesía y del gobierno que la CNT y la FAI son fuerzas que aumentan con la represión y son más solidarias en la adversidad. Anarquistas no salen tomados de las prisiones ni de las deportaciones, sino más firmes en sus propósitos, más seguros en sus objetivos.
Hej, välkommen till anarkism.info podcast. Idag så är det jag som hostar eller intervjuar och det är jag, Luttra. First of all, I want to say welcome to anarkism.info podcast, and I will be a host today, and I go by the name Luttra, and I will introduce our guests soon. And we will talk about the upcoming demo in Mars in Italy, in Milano. That's what's up today, what we're going to talk about, and I won't hold you much longer. So, whenever you're ready to introduce yourself.
Okay, so I will go as Camille. I'm a French activist, but I have Italian origins, so I lived in Italy, and this is where I started a bit of my activism, and I've been active in anti-fascist movements in Italy for years now, and also in France, and so. Well, I've been traveling quite a bit. I've been active in many different struggles worldwide, and well, I'm part of some collectives like Active Video, which is a French video activist collective that did some documentaries about police violence or the struggles in France. I am also a member of Menil-Montan Football Club, which is an anti-fascist, auto-organized, direct democracy, anti-authoritarian football club association. So that's a very good project that I'm part of. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think that kind of sums it up.
I think it's really good. It was a long list. But in the beginning of the podcast, I was telling our audience about the big demo in Milano.
Yeah.
In March this year, and I was wondering if you could tell us the background story about it, and yeah.
Actually, the demo that is held this weekend in March in Milan is an annual demonstration, but this year it's way bigger, and the comrades there wanted to organize something more. But first of all, we need to get a bit of the context. So the 16th of March 2003, an anti-fascist activist from Milan called Davide Cesare, his nickname is Dax. He was part of squats in this neighborhood called Ticinese, and also of the anti-fascist network of the red and anarchist skinheads of Milan. And he was going to a bar that was called Tipota, where he was going a lot with his friends. And one day when he was when he was going out of Tipota, came some fascists, three fascist activists who had their knives out, and Dax was the first being attacked, and he was killed by the fascist, but actually he didn't die right away. After they hit him, on his throat and on his chest, they fled. Of course, they started to run real fast, and the police came, but with their cars they blocked the ambulances. They blocked all the people who could save Dax. He was not dead yet. He was bleeding. He was on the floor in front of the bar, and the ambulance, they had to walk through the police cars to get his body, and it was really hard for them. There are some footage because some neighbors filmed all the action, and so we can definitely see the police cars that are blocking the ambulance and like blocking also the people that were working in the ambulance and trying to get Davide Cesare's body. They don't let them pass and stuff, and so there is a bit of agitation in the street because the people are angry at the police because they are not letting the workers go save Dax. And when they go to the hospital, some police officers started to insult Davide Cesare in his own hospital bedroom. They insulted his friends and family and said one dead communist is the only good communist, and that's a communist less. Also, maybe he was not communist because he was part of a rush. So, and the red and anarchist skinheads, there were a lot of anarchists as well there. So assuming he was a communist might be also a wrong opinion on him. But the point was that the police was really like insulting him and insulting his friends when he was dying, actually, when he was bleeding to death in the hospital. And so the people got really, really angry, and they had a fight with the police, and they threw them out of the hospital, which is understandable, which is a human reaction in front of like such a disgraceful behavior towards his dying body and towards the people in the room. But the police didn't like that, and they came back. A lot of policemen came back, and they beat everyone up in the like the emergency waiting room, the emergency of the hospital, and just everyone, like a lot of like people that were right just there for the hospital that had nothing to do with Dax or his friends, they got beaten up as well. And it was like really bloody and messy, and the pictures you can see there is blood everywhere in the emergency, and you know it's the kind of stain is it's not like someone bleeding who arrives bleeding at the hospital. No, it's definitely like a huge fight and really, really bad police action, and there was blood everywhere in the pictures, and it's really impressive and scary. And some cops came with a baseball bat, and they attacked people with a baseball bat, like the cops for real, the police of the Italian state. And so I'm laughing, but actually there's nothing to laugh about. It's a kind of a nervous laugh. And so that's why this night is called the Black Nights of Milan, Notte Nera di Milano, which stands for saying that it was, first of all, there's the fascist murder in the streets of Milan, and then there's the fascist violence from the state, there's the violence from the police. And even since then, no police officer has been sent to trial for that. There's no justice for Davide Cesare's friend, for Dax. So every year, his comrades organized a demo in his memory, and also fighting for justice and fighting also to help the comrades, because from some of the comrades that were beaten up by the police, they were they were also convicted and a sentence. They were convicted of violence against police, and they were sentenced to a few years of jail, and they had to pay like 130,000 euros fine. And so they are still trying to get money to pay that amount, because we are talking about people which are not like rich at all. And so they are still paying right now, and they still have consequences on their lives. So the comrades do a demo every year and stuff. And this year it's going to be a 4-day global mobilization, because it is his 20th birthday of his mother. And so they decided like to use this moment as a moment of organization worldwide, and not to make it just the usual annual demonstration, which brings a lot of people from all over Italy, but and some comrades from France, some other countries, but like at a small amount. Like this year, they wanted to make something bigger, to really go into his steps and make it like the way he would want it, because he was also really active in internationalism, in trying to get the anti-fascist movement to be able to get bonds all over Europe. And actually, like, the comrades decided this year they wanted to make something bigger and something that would be a good legacy for Dax, that would be basically fighting his fights. And as they say, Dax è vivo e lotta insieme a noi, le nostre idee non moriranno mai. Dax is alive and he's fighting with us. Our struggles and ideas will never die. So basically, that's the idea of keeping the fight up and like continuing to maintain the flame. And so the idea this year is 4 days of actions. So they start on the 16th of March, the day of his death, obviously. There's going to be a screening of a documentary that is about the 20 years of fight and remembrance around Dax's death and anti-fascist struggle in North Italy for the last 20 years. And then we're gonna have a walk and like a small like demonstration in his district, in all the places that he went to, and which is like a commemorative march, or yeah, we could call it like that. And on the second day, on Friday the 17th, there's going to be a day of the Anti-Fascist International Assembly. So that day we will see a lot of comrades coming from all over Europe, like from Comité pour Clément, so the people that were helping for after Clément Mérich's death in Paris, killed by fascists. The Carlos Palomino's committee as well. So Carlos Palomino was an anti-fascist killed in Madrid. So they will come as well. The Pavlos Fisas committee. Pavlos was an anti-fascist activist killed in Athens in 2016 by Golden Dawn members. They are coming as well. So, and many different groups from all over Europe are coming, because the main idea is that all these deaths have something in common, and the far right is not only organizing nationally, but also like helping themselves worldwide. And they are gaining power in Italy. Giorgia Meloni is in power right now, with Matteo Salvini as well. So, and in France, the National Front has got 88 members of parliament, which was not thinkable like 30 years ago. And so and so on and so on and so on. And also, like, a lot of democratic systems have more and more police violence and stuff like that. So they want to use this moment to exchange all together on the actuality of anti-fascist practice and anti-fascist practices and perspective for nowadays anti-fascism worldwide, and how to get all together and how to share our different experience can like nourish our own local fights and think global, act local. That's basically the motto of that day, which is going to be going throughout the whole day. And then on Saturday is the big demo day. This is going to be a massive anti-fascist, anti-capitalist demonstration. Well, to cross the whole city of Milan and to take to the streets and basically take the city and use it to show our message of solidarity, anti-capitalism, and revolutionary anti-fascism. That's basically the idea of that day. And then at night there will be concerts and parties where all the money will be given to the 130,000 campaign, so the campaign to support paying the fine for the comrades of Dax that were convicted because they defended themselves against the police attack in San Paolo's hospital. And then the last day is the International Sports Day, popular sports. There's one bit of context that I should say before, is that in Italy you have a big culture of squat called centri sociali, and there's occupied squad, but that are like militant squads, activist squads, organized by activists. So in the centri sociali, you have a lot of activities open for everyone and stuff, and there are many in Italy, and in some cities there are more than 50 occupations like that. And so they started around like 25 years ago, 27 years ago, I think. They started palestra popolare, which were occupations that were squats where no one would live. It's only made for sports. And so there is like a boxing club, judo, climbing, feminist self-defense. There's a lot of activities like that can be developed in a palestra popolare, in popular gymnasium, basically, if I could say it like that. And since the first one opened in Rome more than 25 years ago, many others opened throughout Italy, and there's like more than 100 of them. There should be like hundreds of them throughout Italy, and there are some football teams that are organized in the same way in France, like the Ménilmontant Football Club, which I'm a part of, or like the Clapton Football Club in London, or the Lampedusa Football Club in St. Pauli, that was actually built by St. Pauli's football club, but St. Pauli's main football club is not really organized the way that popular sport is. And so the day of the 19th, Sunday, the last day of the mobilization, will be about popular sports, and with tournaments and demonstrations and free trainings open for everyone, with rugby, football, boxing, self-defense, gymnastics, fitness, a lot of different activities that would be open for everyone and organized by different political groups involved in popular sports. So I think that kind of sum up the program. Was I clear enough?
Yeah, you were very clear. I'm so glad that you have so much information to share, because it made my work as a journalist, or not a journalist, but an interviewer, so much easier. And you also did answered my follow-up question about the background history, and so that was nice of you to explain. But I have some follow-up question, like how this murder of Dax did affect the area, and how the police brutality is in Italy today. What's your opinion about it?
Yeah, the murder affected the area of Ticinese a lot, because it made life difficult for the comrades there. Because first of all, you have lost someone, and you have a comrade who died, and who died also in his own district. So you know that even a place that you thought was safe might not be as safe as you thought. So there's the fear that gets to everyone there, and the idea that also it was the beginning of like violent fascist attacks in Italy. There are still a lot going on nowadays, but they killed a bit less people these last 6 or 7 years, I would say. But there was a time in the year 2000s, like from 2000 to 2010, it was a moment where there were like a lot of fascist murders in Italy, and it could be like migrants, or it could be activists. And there was also a few years, like 4 years after Dax, there was Renato Biagietti in Rome in 2007. So that was a moment where the fascist activists were going out in the streets trying to kill anti-fascist activists. So his death, like, it really influenced the comrades in the fear that got instilled there. But also they regrouped a bit more, and there still exists tensions between different groups. But in this particular part of Milan, they understand the importance of solidarity between different groups. Like, okay, I don't like you, I am against your idea, or you wanted to do something that I didn't like, or stuff like that. But still, like, we have some enemies that want to kill us. So I hate you, but I have to fight for you if you are attacked, you know? So that also gave something like that, some sense of community and of the need to regroup and the need to be together, even with different ideas, different opinions, different like political sensibilities, political tendencies. But even if we disagree and we can fight a lot and stuff, our enemies want to kill us, so we have to be careful with that. And so I think that changed a bit, like the network also between groups in Milan. And another change that brought out is that it brought a lot more repression. It brought a lot more police, and one of the big centro sociale, the big squats that was created by Dax, which was called Orso, which means the bear, was thrown out by the police in 2006, so 3 years after his death. But his comrades and friends opened another occupation in the same street that is called Cuore in Gola. So it's in Via Gola, the same street where he had his first squat. And so basically, like Dax squat is still there, and there is a huge painting of his face on the wall of the building. So when you are here walking in the district, you will see his face and his name all over the area, and in a really like massive letters. So there's a sense of like that's the history of the neighborhood, and no one should forget it. No one, like, ni oubli ni pardon. We don't forgive, we don't forget, you know. So not forgotten, not forgiven. And so I think, yeah, that changed this for the neighborhood. And then about the situation right now in Italy about police violence. Well, it's still very violent, but it's hard to say which police would be the worst in Europe, because, well, if you look at the Greek police, they can torture migrants. If you look at the French police, they kill 35 people per year. So Italian police kills a bit less people these last years, but they are still really violent. And you have to understand what happened in 2003 was 2 years after the G8 in Genova. And in the G8 in Genova, there was the episode. Well, first of all, a protester was shot by the police, Carlo Giuliani. He was 21 years old, and he was shot twice by a cop, and he died there. And they also like rolled over his dead body with a car to make sure he was dead. So, and then the same police they attacked a school where the people were sleeping after the demonstrations, and they beat up everyone, and they brought up a lot of people in an abandoned prison, and they basically, like, what I'm gonna say is really violent, so be prepared. They beat up everyone, they raped the woman, and they tortured the people, and they sung fascist songs for 6 days straight in an abandoned facility that was totally out of rights. Like Amnesty International said that this what happened there was the biggest violation of human rights on the European soil since 1945. And the cops also, some cops talked years after in one of the trials, and they said it was Mexican butchery. So you really have to understand what happened in Genova in 2001 was really, really hard and really violent and something unforgivable. And the very same people are still in the police right now. And so in 2003, what they did with what happened with Dax's death, that were the same police people, that were the same guys who were 2 years before in Genova. So, I mean, right now, it's not as violent on a daily basis and in demonstrations, because, of course, what happened in Genova in 2001 was like a very particular event and a particular moment, but still they can do this and they haven't been punished for that for real. So there can still be violence from their side, which is totally impressive and crazy and out of place. So, but I am saying this, you shouldn't be also afraid to go to Milan, because the comrades are really organizing an event that should be secure for everyone. So also, if you want to go there and you don't know anyone, you just first you write an email to Dax Resiste. You go on their Facebook page or their no blogs as well. They have like Dax Resiste .noblogs.org. You have all the links like that. You can write them a message, and then they will write you and like give you some more secure way of contacting them and stuff. And when you get a secure way of contacting, then they can set up like, okay, you arrive here, you don't know anyone, and we can send some comrades to pick you up at the train station and stuff like that. So we don't let anyone like alone and lost and stuff like that, because actually I don't think the risk would be to get attacked by cops like when you're alone and going to a squat or the demo or stuff like that. No, the risk would be more that fascists can be really sneaky, as fascists are in power in Italy. It's that's one of the risks that we have in mind. So the comrades there are organizing that it can be safe for everyone and inclusive, and everyone can come in a safest way possible. And so I don't think like police violence where I don't think they are gonna attack one of the squads at night, like in the G8 in 2001. I don't think it's gonna be like that, because also we are a bit more, we will be less numerous than in Genova, but the places where the people will be, there's a lot more like comrades that are used to this kind of situation, which was not the case for G8. And also like I don't think Giorgia Meloni wants to have this kind of image towards the European Union and stuff like that, and she's already like have a bad image and stuff like that. So what might happen as a police violence would be more like violent charges from the police during the mass demonstration on Saturday. But this is something we can deal with. This is not like unprecedented episode of violence like it was in the jazz school in Genova. It's that's a way different story. So but still, you have to understand that cops are not your friends, and they will never be, and they can be violent, and they killed already, and they don't mind if they do so. But I don't think that the police violence will be the hardest. Although, of course, if you're on the front line and the police is charging, well, you can get hit by the batons a few times on your head, and that's what can happen. That's something that is part of normal or usual police violence. And what I talked about are moments which are a bit like not the usual moments, not the now every single day police actions. I hope I was clear enough, and I don't know if you have more questions about that or if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. It was good. And I was thinking, like, we talked about it during the day or before, like, no one should feel like they can come to Milano and be active on the demonstrations. And I think we can, like, put some links below in our website and our social media channels so people can easy contact you and write if they are traveling alone or don't know anyone who's going to be there. Because I think it's important to feel like it's an important thing to do.
Because you asked me about like police violence, but so I had to bring a bit of the context of the G8 in 2001, which is a big like historical moment.
Yeah.
that changed the course of activism in Italy, and that's an important moment, a turning point in modern history of activism in Italy. But you should not fear that it will be like that. It doesn't mean that it is totally impossible that it is like that, but I don't think so, because we are not talking about the same amounts of people. It's not the same context. Like the G8 in Genova, it was a period where like there was a counter summit every month since Seattle 1999. And after the Battle of Seattle, that was like that gave that brought out the tactics of a black bloc everywhere in the world, and there was the development of the anti-globalization movement. And the G8 of Genova was not only like, it was not purely Italian repression. It was meant to destroy the anti-global movement and anti-globalization movement. And so that was a special repression, which is a it is a totally different context. Like this meeting in Milan is not the epitome of the anti-globalization movement, nor it is even the epitome or the biggest turning point in the anti-fascist movement. So even if it's going to be a big and mass event, and it's going to be really interesting and important in a way of internal links and bonds it can create, but like there is not the international authorities involved like it was for the G8 in Geneva. So you should not fear this kind of violence. And I really wanted to say that because, yeah, if you talk about the recent history of police violence in Italy, you have to talk about the G8 in Geneva, of course, but you also should not think or believe that, oh yeah, thousands of anti-fascists in Milan. It's gonna be the second G8 of Genova, and we're all gonna get beaten up badly, and we can't sleep at night and stuff like that. No, you should not fear this way. It should be really safer than that. And there were many events in Italy since then that were never as violent as Genova was. But still, you have to know this context, because it will be in the minds also of the older activists, all the people that are like 40 years old, or even like starting, I would say 38 years old, and people that are older, or who started at an early age. They all went there, and so that will be in their mind, and they also organize themselves thinking about what happened there and stuff like that. So it's not something you should fear that there would be a repeat of that, but it's something you should know and have in mind, because it will also be in the mind of most of the participants as well. That's some like details that I wanted to add, so people shouldn't feel really afraid. It's we really organize this in the safest way possible for everyone, and to be really inclusive. You have to understand that in Milan, one man which participates a lot in the black bloc there is in a wheelchair, and there's a lot of pictures and video, and you see him as a frontliner of a black bloc in Milan with his wheelchair. And I'm talking about this just to show that the people there are trying to make it possible for everyone to join in, and for everyone to join in safe conditions. Even if you're on a wheelchair, you can be on the front line, and we can make it so you are not, and you are still safe even in the front line of a black bloc. So, which is something some people would be like, well, I'm not sure if I'm able to go. I don't have a physical condition and stuff like that. Or, well, basically, here it's going to be a moment to learn how to make it possible for a lot of people. So I also think that's why it should be really interesting to a lot of people.
I agree with you. No one should be feel that they are afraid to go to a demo. But I have one more question, like about the zone autonom Milano. Maybe it's pronounced different in Italy.
Zona Autonoma Milano.
Yes.
If you want to translate it, we can say Autonomous Zone Milano. Well, it's one of the squatting experiences of Milan, which have many, and there are many different experiences. But yeah, the Autonomous Zone in Milan, they started 12 years ago, and so they first occupied a big building that was quite in the center of the city. Then they got thrown out, but the fight to keep it was a really hard fight. They did like really big barricades, and they also like throw rocks and Molotov cocktails. And the videos of the fight are really impressive. And they did it like they that was a huge street fight. And but they still got thrown out.
Hello from the anarkism.info editing studio. Just a quick editor's note here. At this point, we lost sound for like 20 seconds while our guest is telling us about how Zona Autonoma Milan lost their first squat, but then managed to find a new place to occupy. After that, our guest tells us about various facilities and activities going on in the new squat, and that's pretty much where we get back into the interview with sound again.
Room with big climbing walls. They also have another sports room for boxing and fitness and gymnastics and stuff like that. And they have a concert venue. They had the ZAM Hip Hop Lab, which is a recording studio for hip hop artists for free. They have a radio station. They have this big garden with vegetables that they grow themselves. And it's really like an autonomous zone, actually. And it's been going on since 12 years the collective, but 8 years this place they occupy now in Via Sant'Ambodio. And were really active also in all the struggles in going on in Milan. They were going to the Notav as well. Notav is like an occupation of a valley in the Alps against the train between Lyon in France and Turin in Italy. And so the Notav zone has been like militarized. The people had to fight. A lot of people, farmers, have been thrown out of their own houses. And this project is costing millions of euros. It's not needed at all. It was decided by Berlusconi. There's a bit of mafia involved there. Also, like some activists from Notav had their car burning and stuff like that, and so on. And so there are a lot of things going on about the Notav struggle, and the ZAM in Milan have always been active and in supporting of the Notav, like being present to the demonstrations in the valley, but also like supporting the comrades that were arrested by the police, and helping for the legal fees, and helping the struggle going on. And so they are really active in many things. They also have the feminist assembly helping to create to build the demonstration of the International Days of Women's Rights on the 8th of March. And they organize a lot of things, and they participate in many different projects and political and social and cultural and also sports activity. And they use every single space to make it a place of experiment and a place of openness. And that seems like a very good project. I hope I summarized their project in the right way, because I am not a member of Dax Resiste. I'm not a member of the ZAM, but I know the guys there. And they also, Dax Resiste is a collective and a platform of different realities. And the ZAM in Milan is a big member and a big part of the Dax Resiste collective and Dax Resiste platform. And they are organizing and working a lot on making the appointments in March a success. So, yeah, I don't know what else you want to know about the ZAM.
No, it was good. I was just wondering because we talked about it earlier today, so that's just come up in my mind. Thought it might be interesting for the people to hear about. I don't know if there are something else you want to add, or if I have missed anything. You have talked so much, and I'm grateful for that.
Another part of the context and of the general, like nowadays context. Do you know about Alfredo Cospito and the 41 bis struggle? Alfredo Cospito is an anarchist activist from Italy that was sentenced to jail, to a lifetime jail, because he put a bomb in front of a police station. A bomb that did not kill anyone and that did not hurt anyone. And, well, I am not sure if he's guilty of that at all, actually, but he was in trial for that, and he was sent to jail for what happened at the time, at the beginning of the year 20,000. And there's the 41 bis is a particular regime that is that's an article of law that makes it possible to put you inside a private separate cell with 22 hours inside the cell. So you only have 2 hours per day outside of the cell, which means like 45 minutes for lunch, 45 minutes for dinner, 30 minutes shower, 30 minutes walking. You have no visitation rights. You have no phone calls allowed. It's like the worst prison regime in Europe. Italy has been sentenced by the European Court of Human Rights many times for this, and it still is in the law. But this 41 bis regime was mainly used for very few people and for the top of the mafia, the more violent mafiosi. And when I'm talking mafia boss, I'm talking about people in Italy that from the prison cell they can organize the death of 200 people. So, of course, these people are really dangerous, and I am anti-prison, and I am not in favor of the 41 bis regime. But from the point of view of the bourgeois state, we can understand the context of how and why they created the 41 bis, even though that the 41 bis actually comes from the fascist regime. But then it was not used for years and years, and in the 1980s, when it started to send to jail the big mafiosi, and they decided to use the 41 bis against some of these guys, but really a very, very small amount, less than 10 people. But in these last years, since Berlusconi, we had a few activists, a few comrades, a few political prisoners that went under the 41 bis regime. And Alfredo Cospito has been put under the 41 bis regime recently, so he decided to go on hunger strike. But since it's Giorgia Meloni who is in power, they don't want to take him out of the 41 bis regime, and the people are going on demonstrations in many cities of Italy. Some demonstrations turned into riots, and Alfredo Cospito is now on the 108th day of hunger strike, which is longer than Bobby Sands. Bobby Sands was a political prisoner of the IRA in Britain in the 1980s, and Margaret Thatcher let him die, and he died after 100 days of hunger strike. And Alfredo Cospito is now over 100 days of hunger strike, so his condition is really, really bad. And the Italian state, which is now held by fascists, still want to let him die. So he might die in the next days or next weeks. The fight is going on hard. They are having a lot of demonstration, and he's been recently transferred because of his physical state to a prison center in Milan. So I am saying all this, and this is not off topic at all, because if he dies in the next weeks, we're gonna have a lot of demonstrations throughout all Italy, demonstrations that will turn into riots. We're gonna have a lot of comrades that might be arrested, that might be in jail in Milan, and actually, or if he's still alive, he might be in the prison in Milan when there are so many anti-fascist activists from all over the world in the same city as well. So this is not a disconnected context, and the organizers of Dax Resiste also incorporated the situation of Alfredo Cospito in their own text, and because he's a victim of the state repression, as well as Dax comrades were, and also maybe we can consider Dax a victim of state repression, because actually Dax maybe would not have died if the police didn't act the way they did on the 16th of March 2003. So that means that we have to be attentive, to be careful, to look at what happens for Alfredo Cospito, because it can really define the general vibe, the general atmosphere, or what will happen in Milan. Because depending if he dies or not, how hard goes the repression as well. You have to understand that since he's on hunger strike, there's a lot of solidarity actions worldwide, and right now all the Italian embassies over the world are on a high alert of emergency, because a lot have been attacked, and all the cars of a police station in Milan have been burned, and there are a lot of attacks like this, and anarchists which are going a bit higher than they did before. So the answer of the states, the response of the states to that could be really hard as well. And also, depending on what happens with Alfredo Cospito, it can definitely like change the face and the vibe of Milan. Will we be mourning another comrade or not? Will we be fighting for the comrades which are now in jail because they were in support of Alfredo Cospito or not? Like, those are questions that we have to take into consideration, and actually it's like the right now actual context that can change the face of the days of mobilization in Milan. And I hope I was clear and not too long.
No, no, you were great. You weren't too long. You always have so much to say about so many things. But it's good, and yeah, I don't have so many questions. And would you like us to recommend something, or is there any website you can like look for information and stuff like that?
Yes, but so it's daxresiste.noblogs.org, but it's mainly in Italian. If you want to read in other languages, you have to go to the blog section. There will be some articles in English, but not a lot of their texts have been translated to English. So you have to think about that. They also have an Instagram account, Dax_Resiste, RESISTE. So you can also check the Telegram channel called Prima Linea, PRIMALINEA, the Prima Linea, if you want to say it in like English style, which is a information channel in French, English, and Italian. But the thing is, on some versions of Telegram, you can like right click and click on translate, so it can automatically translate, and the translations are not too bad. So that could be useful as well. So the Telegram channel is like t.me/primalinea161. With that, you could get some informations. Also, there is the Facebook page from Dax Resiste, or the Facebook page from Azione Antifascista Roma Est. So all of these pages and can inform you about it. But the thing is, you have to think about that a lot of information is in Italian, and we can't really like. We have to be indulgent to our comrades in Milan because yes, they have a hard time dealing with communication in other languages because they are organizing the event for many people to come, and they are doing a huge work, and they did also like a political document of 16 pages which was not translated yet, and so they have like a lot of work to do to organize this huge program. And like every single day has a political perspective. There's a big text that explain the general idea. I did a summary earlier that was really a summary because it can be what they did is a huge work, so they don't really have the enough time to communicate in a lot of different languages and stuff, so you have to be careful about that. But well, using like copy paste and Google Translate, of course there's a bit that will lack, but you can get the general idea. There will be article in English in some of these pages I told about, so, and also you can get the video also that you already some of you in your collective already saw, but there's the YouTube link of the video, and on the YouTube link there's the description with a lot of links and informations and stuff, and where it also summarizes the video summarize the context and the days of action. So yeah, basically with already with the video and the description and the video on YouTube, you got most of the information you need. Then if you want more information, it's better to write directly to Dax Resiste. But yeah, on their Facebook page, you will have a lot of informations on Azione Antifascista Roma Est, or on Sabordon le G20, the French page, or on the Telegram channel Prima Linea, which is t.me/primalinea161. You have a lot of informations, and you can work with that, I think.
Yeah, I think we also can like write something in our social media and on our web page. And I think if there are people from Sweden who will going to Italy, they can also like write to anarkism.info, our email, and on our social media. And I will also like make sure that they can have contact with people in Italy or in Milano.
Yeah, because maybe it's also, maybe it would be good like to take some of the informations that I said right now in English and write them down in Swedish, I think, because I don't know a lot of people who can do that, and I don't think the comrades in Milan have time to search for something like that, because they are really starting to organize so many things already, and like every single day means a lot of work, and
Yeah.
that's a good program, and I'm really happy to have the occasion to share about it here for you Swedish audience, and I hope it can bring some more people, because this is a rare occasion to build for anti-fascist perspectives across Europe. And I think when we have occasions like this, we should not let this go. We should not let it pass, and we have to take occasions when they present themselves. Like the J20 in Hamburg in 2017 was a moment that should not be missed. This moment in Milan should not be missed. What the comrades planned and organized is, I mean, it would be really sad to not go and not enjoy it fully. And when I mean enjoy it fully, it's not just enjoy it on a personal level, but like it can mean a lot for the links between different groups all across Europe, and that's an opportunity we don't have every year. We don't have every day. So when it's something like that is open, then we should all go there.
Yes, I agree. Anyway, I hope I can join you. Of course, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you are very welcome. Really.
Yeah, I really hope I will make it. And I also hope that there will be more people from Sweden who will also go to Italy. It would be great if more people did. But yeah, maybe that was all. It was a really good time to hear you talk about this important weekend. And I'm so sorry to the audience because I didn't have so much questions. But you were super great and you have so much to tell us about. And I am grateful for your time. And it's always fun to have you on the podcast, actually, because you have so much to say.
Yeah, it's my second time here. I know, and but thank you for inviting me, really. And I know the guys at Dax Resiste will be really happy to hear about it, and they will, of course, share the podcast because they have been sharing all the media coverage we had, and yeah, a lot of groups are also joining every single day. There are new groups sending messages to my collective or to Dax Resiste or to Azione Antifascista Roma Est, and asking how they sleep and how they organize and stuff like that. And so really it's today we had the support from Slovenia and from St. Pauli, from the biggest and oldest anti-fascist bar in St. Pauli. And so yeah, there's a lot of people are coming from everywhere. Really, this is going to be a really important moment to be together. And as the far right is going up in a lot of our countries, and then we need to start to organize internationally, and that's basically the purpose of these days. And I think like if Dax Death can bring something like that to the anti-fascist movement, wow, I think that's bigger than he could dream of. So there we go. Nella notte ci guidano le stelle, as the saying says. That's the name of this days of action is through the night guide us the stars, which is Nella notte ci guidano le stelle, which are lyrics taken from a partisan song. And actually, that's really important to say that as well, because this moment around Dax's death is also about transmission, about history, about knowing our past, and also like transmission and communication between generations and between groups and realities and stuff like that. And Dax was someone who, for him, it was really important to keep the history of the partisans and the Italian resistance alive. And so his comrades say that now he's one of the stars that guide us through the night, that was sung in this anti-fascist resistance song from the 1920s, which is called Fischia il vento, the wind is blowing. Fischia il vento, in furia la bufera. Well, I'm not gonna sing the whole song, but just so you know, there's these lyrics. Nella notte ci guidano le stelle, and through the night guide us the stars, which is the name of this 4 days of action. And choosing this name has also some historical and political meaning, and it's also shows the goals of these days of action. Like it stands for something, and it stands for a transmission of culture as well, and of knowing our roots, where we come from, and building from there. And I think that's a good conclusion.
Yeah, it was a beautiful end of this podcast. And if you would like to sing, I will let you sing.
Okay, I can sing the song if you want, but no, really, I know it by heart. Really, it's actually knowing this song got me to find my first flat in Rome when I was really young, and this is a really important song for Italian anti-fascists.
Yeah.
Fischia il vento, in furia la bufera, scarpe rotte, pur bisogna andare a conquistare la rossa primavera, dove sorge il sol
dell'avvenir, a conquistare la rossa primavera, dove sorge il sol dell'avvenir. Ogni contrada è patria del ribelle, ogni donna a lui dona un sospir. Nella notte lo guidano le stelle, forte il cuore, il braccio nel colpir. Nella notte lo guidano le stelle, forte il cuore, il braccio nel colpir. Se ci coglie la crudele morte, dura vendetta verrà dal partigian. Ormai sicura è già la dura sorte del fascista vile traditor. Ormai sicura è già la dura sorte del fascista vile traditor. Cessa il vento, calma è la bufera, torna a casa il fiero partigian, sventolando la rossa sua bandiera, vittoriosi al fin liberi siam, sventolando la rossa sua bandiera, vittoriosi al fin liberi siam.
Here is the song Fischia il vento. That was sung by the anti-fascist resistance in the mountains of Italy in the 1920s. Basically, this song was sung by my grandparents, and there are many, many different versions of the song nowadays, and also having people singing this song and making new versions has always been something that brought me a lot of emotions, because that's the history of my family, and there are still people keeping this song alive, and the young generations that know the song and can sing it, and I could cry for that, really. And so that was very, very beautiful from them, from Dax's comrade, to choose this particular song, and that means a lot. And I think that shows also the importance of a moment to me is also in the political background and the philosophical and historical transmission that they try to make place there. And so I'm happy to help build that moment, because we are all Dax, and through the night guide us the stars, and one of these stars is Davide Cesare.
I agree, indeed. I feel honored that you actually did sing in the podcast.
I'm not really a singer, but I mean, like, okay.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a singer or not. Now it's forever in the podcast. I don't know if we have any last words. I am just so grateful that you wanted to be a part of the podcast again and tell us about this weekend.
I was about to offer to people from Dax Resiste to do the interview and stuff, but actually was also easier to do it that way, but I really wanted to say that I do not speak on behalf of Dax Resiste platform, and I am not active inside the platform. I do not participate to the reunions they have every week and stuff like that, and so on. But I am well informed of what's going on, and that's a good way to help them because, they have so much work for the ambition they have for these 4 days of action. So doing some communication like that is really helping them as well, and so that means that spreading the word. And I think I didn't say a lot of bullshit. I think I tried to stay focused on what they said as well and what happens in Italy in general. So I do not speak in their name, but I speak in my own name. But I try to be really fair to what is going on, and I hope I depicted a pretty accurate picture of the what is going on in Italy and in March.
Yeah, I think you did. I think it was great, and I agree. It's we are happy to share all the information we can about this weekend. So I think it was really good. We were happy to have you.
Thank you. I was happy to be there.
Yes, international solidarity is the best.
Exactly.
Vuestra presencia en este meeting y mi presencia en esta tribuna